today.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
Harvey Perlman was there.
Hey, Harvey's there.
Harvey sidled up to me and said, Sipple, a little out of context. So I was driving back. I called Pelini, and I told him what Harvey said. He goes, Sipple, you should have told him anytime he's not near a sewer, he's out of context.
Whoa! Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
Your sprinklers are watering the street or flooding your backyard. If you're on a list that doesn't exist, it's time for Judson Irrigation. At Judson Irrigation, Lee or Lacey or Judson will make an appointment. You pick the time and they'll be there to fix your sprinkler system. Now that's service, a dying art these days.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Liberty Law Group is committed to the pursuit of justice for those that have been injured. My name is Eric Hagan, attorney with Liberty Law Group. If you've been injured in an accident that wasn't your fault, call 877-42-LIBERTY. Our detail-oriented trial attorneys are committed to the highest quality legal representation. At Liberty Law Group, we will fight for you. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Once again, that's 877-42-LIBERTY.
What a day. I could sure use an afternoon pick-me-up. Hold up. The new 93.7 The Ticket location has a milk, coffee, and tea inside? Oh, yeah. This is a game changer. Need an afternoon pick-me-up? How about a coffee or smoothie on your way to work? Stop by the Ticket Mill location on 1040 O Street to get your go-to drink or try out our new game day drinks exclusive to the Ticket Mill location. We know it'll make your day a million times better.
On the Block with Strick and Austin.
Hey, he looked as advertised. He looked really good in the spring game. And because of that, we're going back to a bowl game this year, is what Husker fans are telling them. So I think the fans have a more realistic perspective, and I think this coaching staff has done a really good job of handling Dylan Raiola and the expectations around him.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is Sunday Rewind.
Take it back now, y'all.
Down, flip it and reverse it. If I could turn back time.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Now, here are your hosts, Tom Stevens and Mike Melby.
Happy Sunday afternoon. This is Husker Rewind on 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Mr. Tom Stevens to my right.
Hey, how are you?
Ben Droz hanging out in the other room.
There he is.
Looking good as always. O Street looking fantastic from the studios here at 1040 O Street.
Flawless driving I've seen up and down O Street.
Oh, yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
Give yourself some hand.
Nobody has jumped a curb recently. No accidents. And we're going to start the show off. My name is Mike Melby, by the way. This is Tom and I's last show until August. One of the bigger reasons why is because I have a passion for sprint car racing. Everybody knows that. And I had the opportunity to help out a friend of mine that decided to get back behind the wheel. His name's Tig Jensen, and he drives the Carpetland number 24 305 Race Saver sprint car out at Eagle Raceway. And last night, Tig, in his third night back, won the A feature. And I want to take this opportunity to jump on the Allo VIP line and say, Tig, my man, congratulations.
Thank you, Mike.
Hey, so walk me through this, because I know a little bit of the story. I don't know exactly how the race went, though, because I was in Omaha. I had a prior commitment. Our crew chief, Brian, was out of town. He had prior commitments. Other guys that help us had prior commitments. Tig, how did you manage to get the car to the track, and who helped you last night?
Well, last night was kind of it was a last minute decision to go. I think it was Friday night that we finally decided to give it the green light. and that was after a phone call or a text to Toby Chapman, see if he would come help us out for the night. So we had one crew member, Troy Hansen, and then we had my dad, who was little to no help at all, but he's out there for support. And then
He's 83. Come on.
Yeah, I know. And then Toby came out and helped us. So it was a skeleton crew, but it paid off in the long run.
I always wonder about race car drivers. Are they different from other athletes? I just felt like I was going to win today. Do you have a feeling like that when you get in a car, or just you have no expectation? Do you know?
I mean, no, you don't really know, but anytime you go out there, you kind of expect to win. So that's why we all go out there and compete. So, but yeah, I mean, last night, the whole night went good. Car was quick every time we hit the track. And Melby and I joked about this before we went out there. He said that if you end up winning, you might have to fire the whole crew. And so I did that publicly last night at the races in the interview. And so now I have to do it in person. Melby, you're fired.
All right. I cannot argue with the logic behind this decision.
But you know what, though? If you come over this week and you help me wash the car and stuff, I'll rehire you.
All right. I'll be over tomorrow.
So perfect.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I may have to talk about leaving the garage open. I'll swing over in the middle of the afternoon since I don't work Mondays. Just real quick, we're going to let you go. I wanted to say congratulations, but as well, talk about how good the car was last night. I looked at the times. You were at least 0.4 of a second faster than everybody else on the track, and you were about ready to lap the 6th place car in the feature. You were fucking moving, man.
Yeah, it was good. We kind of set it up to on the top, and fortunately for us, there wasn't a whole lot of people up there because it was really rough up there. But we set the car to kind of handle the ruts and left the gear alone to help with the straightaway speed. And I was sitting up on the staging lane, and Toby came over and he goes, "Car's perfect, just rip the lip." And what that means is just run the top side. So we did that the whole race, peeled off once to try to pass a lap car on the bottom, and that it didn't go well. So just went right back up to the top and figured if someone's going to pass me, they're going to have to do it on the bottom. And I felt pretty confident that the pace that we were setting, I didn't think that it would happen. So we just stayed up there and kind of cruised around the last 10 laps or so.
Nice. Very, very nice. Well, congratulations. We're going to kind of throw out 2018 as just a year to play and mess around and blow valve cover gaskets. So like this is the first time you've been in a car that's really up and going in 12 years, 11 years, and third night out, man. Great drive last night.
Yeah, thank you. It was a good time, so we'll have to do it again.
I think so. All right. Tyke Jensen joining us on the LOVIP line. Tyke, thanks for jumping on with us. Congrats again, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. See ya.
All right.
Well spoken on the radio. I mean, he could talk racing. I mean, he'd be good doing a racing show.
I kind of wanted him to jump in a little bit more last year on the finish line, and we wound up doing something totally different where Rebecca and I would have people come in for the whole hour.
Yeah. That was fun. I heard that.
And it was kind of interesting. And so and I think with Bree and James Rowland and Rebecca this year, I think that's what they're doing with the racing show.
All right. We're running late. Let's get to the kickoff.
Lasher will kick it off for Oklahoma. The Sooners are in white. We are in Lincoln, Nebraska, and we are ready to go.
The Nebraska baseball team will head into Tuesday's opening round of the Big Ten tournament at Charles Schwab Field in Omaha as the number 2 seed, where they will take on 7th seeded Ohio State at roughly 2 p.m. Nebraska ended the regular season with back-to-back conference series wins. Although they lost the third game, they had chances to sweep Indiana at home last weekend, Michigan State this weekend. They end the regular season 34-19, 16-8 in conference play. Record midweek games, not good, 4-7, including 0-3 versus Creighton. And then last Tuesday, they blow a 6-2 8th-inning lead over South Dakota State, a team that finished 20-29 and last in the 6-team Summit League. They head into the Big Ten tournament with a little momentum. A couple of prognosticators have said they're the favorite to win the tournament. I don't think so. Not knocking them. I just don't think they're the favorite to win the tournament. I think Illinois should be. But they're going to be in the NCAA tournament. They're going to wind up at a regional, and we'll see what they can do once they get there.
Illinois wasn't picked, I don't think, in the top 7 preseason, and they win the league. Nebraska was picked 5th, and they're 2nd.
Yeah.
I think both teams would take that.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you would have told me Nebraska was playing the final day of the season to win the Big Ten championship, and they were. If they would have won yesterday, they win. They share the Big Ten championship.
Yeah, and the haters online, I mean, it is so funny, man. And I get it. They blew a game they shouldn't have lost on Tuesday. But like for every one of Nebraska's 19 losses, there's a couple dozen people that are like, fire Will Bolt. Oh my God, this team is horrible. What's not horrible? TJ Lateef. He's a quarterback. He's a 4-star, and he committed to Matt Rule last Sunday. He is out of Lutheran High School in Orange County, California. Said he felt like a priority for the staff. We're going to see if the commitment helps the Huskers land some other big names, maybe along the offensive line. A gentleman by the name of David Sanders, highest ranked recruit to ever be on campus. David Sanders Jr. He holds 39 total offers. His top 5 is currently Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, and Ohio State.
That's going to be a tough get.
I don't think there's a chance in the world he winds up at Nebraska. But you know what? It's one of those moral victory things. I mean, we got Dylan Raiola. I get it. But he's a legacy. Nebraska's never landed in the last 20 years that guy.
Well, this would be that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's, I think, the second ranked
player
recruit
in the
country.
Yeah, number one offensive tackle, number one offensive lineman.
But you never
insane.
know. Yeah, I think I don't remember. I think it was Sam McEwen that pointed this out. Maybe you don't get him the first time around, but so many guys transfer.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe he ends up in a Husker uniform at some point during his career. It does look good, though, with Dawson Merritt, the linebacker, who is down to apparently
Nebraska.
Alabama and Nebraska.
Yeah. I want to throw this out here because we talk a lot of sports on this show because that's what the show's about. But we talk about sports at Nebraska. All of the players that are on these teams are student athletes. Former Husker football player and current NFL players Cam Taylor-Britt and Nate Gary led a school record 103 Nebraska student athletes that earned their degrees in weekend ceremonies at UNL commencements this weekend. That is phenomenal.
Nice
Major
job.
tip of the cap. And there's quite a few of them that spend time on the airwaves here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've gotten to know quite a few of them, but absolute congratulations. 103 Nebraska student athletes earned their bachelor's degree this last weekend. And this does not count some, including Brian Buschini, who earned his master's, because the 103 only count your first degree.
How do you do that going to school like they have to go? I mean, not only that, football itself is a full-time job. And then you add academics. I always admire any athlete. But you know what football players, volleyball players, basketball players have to do
It's year round.
Yeah, and many other sports as well. It's year round. And then you add academics on top. That's impressive.
It truly is. Want to throw out a big shout out to the Nebraska men's track team. The men won their second consecutive Big Ten outdoor title. The women's team came in second. They head to the NCAA West preliminary round this week, and then the NCAA championships start on June 5th. Scotty Scheffler arrested, drama. Right now, Xander Schauffele and Bryson DeChambeau and who am I missing? Victor Hovland are all battling it out on 17 and 18 for the PGA title. Stanley Cup playoffs, 3 of the 4 number 1 seeds have already made it to the conference finals. Winner of Game 7 versus of Vancouver and Edmonton. Vancouver's the number 1 seed, so it may be all 4. No drama there. NBA playoffs, your Celtics are in the Eastern Conference Finals. Right. They're going to play the Pacers, and they just destroyed the Knicks. And then in the West, 5th seeded Dallas awaits the winner of Game 7 between the Timberwolves and Nuggets tonight. So that'll wrap up kickoff.
Should say this, the Supernovas win the Pro Volleyball Federation Championship. They get a bonus of $1 million. We carried the Supernovas all season long. Hope you enjoyed it because they were really good, and they just earned $1 million on top of a championship.
I'm surprised you didn't do the Michael Myers.
$1 million. The Royals also playing good baseball right now. It's another team that we carry here on 93.7 The Ticket. They won, they're 10 games over 500 after today's win, 8-4 win over the A's. It's the first time they've been at 500, I think this far over 500, I should say, since 2015. That's 10 games over 500. And they surpassed that yesterday as well. So they're on a streak. They're playing great baseball. Their pitching's good. They get enough hitting to win. And this could be one of those years you win the wild card. I mean, because that division's pretty decent in the Central this year. Maybe they don't win the division. They're not ahead of the division despite their record. That goes to Cleveland. But they could get a wild card down.
Well, they're a game and a half back. I mean, maybe the Royals are my Texas Rangers from last year. Nobody thought they stood a snowball's chance. Rangers this year. They're the funny thing is the Rangers are 24-24, a game and a half back of first place in the West. The Royals are 10 games over 500, a game and a half back of the Guardians in the Central. So it's just that division that you're in.
And it's usually the Royals win a championship, of course, in 1985. They wait 30 years. They win one in 2015. And I thought they were just going to wait another 30 years to be good again. But they're good right now.
Yeah,
and it hasn't been 30 years. It's only been like 8 or 9. So the Royals playing really good baseball. It's fun to talk about winning Royals baseball because I listen regardless. I'm a big listen. I think more than any other sport, baseball on the radio is just perfect. I mean, it's meant to be a radio sport.
You've got to have the right guy, but yeah.
Yeah, football is, I want to see it. I want to see everything. But baseball, you can kind of paint a picture. Basketball, I need to see it. Baseball, you can paint a picture. There's no better sport, I think, for radio than baseball. That's just my opinion.
The storytelling is what gets me.
Remember Vince Scully? He could weave a story into anything and not miss a beat of the game either.
And Denny Matthews, the longtime Royals broadcaster, I was told numerous times by people that were very good in this industry as I started doing some play-by-play when I was a little bit younger, back around 2000. And they said, yeah, if you listen to Denny Matthews, don't do what he does because half of his broadcast is dead air. But he was so eloquent and so lean in his use of words. Yeah. But he could still paint the picture perfectly.
And I grew up with Denny. Fred and Denny were on the radio every single day. Although at that time, I think KFOR was carrying Royals baseball. We've had them for a while, and we're glad to have Royals baseball. They've carried, I think, KFOR a couple of different times. Royals baseball, but we're grateful to have them now, especially when they're this good. It's a fun listen. It's a great listen on the radio. And you mentioned Denny Matthews. I mean, he's 80 plus years old, still doing it. Yeah, it's crazy. Let's get to break because we're going to talk to one of our Omaha World Herald guests. We've got Tom Chattel next hour, but this hour, Evan Bland. We'll talk a little Husker baseball coming up next.
Have you been accused of a crime? Is your freedom at stake? At Liberty Law Group, we are committed to the defense of liberty for those accused. Facing the court is stressful, overwhelming, and full of uncertainty. At Liberty Law Group, we believe in treating every person with respect, compassion, and understanding. When legal troubles are keeping you up, trust Liberty Law Group to fight your battles. To learn more, call 877-42-LIBERTY. That's 877-42-LIBERTY.
Hi, it's Tom and Mike from Husker Rewind. And did you know that people who are represented by an attorney are often compensated up to 3 times more than someone who is not?
Friedman Law has been helping injured people for over 60 years. It's all they do. If you're ever seriously injured in an accident, call Friedman Law at 402-476-1093.
Friedman Law is a family firm that works hard for Nebraska families just like yours.
So if you're ever injured on the job or in a crash, contact Friedman Law at friedmanlaw.com.
Spring often marks the beginning of severe weather, which can lead to power outages. LES wants you to be prepared before the storm. Restock your emergency kit, update your info with LES, and if you encounter an outage, report it at les.com/report.
High schoolers, unleash your creativity and learn about potential careers in broadcasting at the Digital Expressions Media Camp. Have fun, make friends, and get hands-on experience with video and radio production June 9th through the 14th at the University of Nebraska at Kearney. Scholarships are available from the Nebraska Broadcasters Association, and spots are limited. Learn more at digitalexpressionscamp.com. That's digitalexpressionscamp.com.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans, begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for more than 40 years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring, remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Coleman Construction is a high-end custom home builder serving the city of Lincoln, Lancaster County, Seward County, and beyond. Through their decades of design-build expertise, they are available for detailed planning and custom building, additions, and remodels for your dream home. Coleman Construction listens to your ideas and works with you to develop a floor plan, budget, and project management approach. Contact Coleman Construction at 402-643-5654 to discuss your vision for a beautiful home and let them bring it to life.
Do you need your event or venue secured? Call Tank Security Team. Tank Security Team is Lincoln's #1 non-lethal security company. Tank Security Team offers first-class security with efficient and quicker response times. Hire Tank Security Team. No hassle, no headaches. Call Tank at 402-310-3589 and get secured today.
On the Block with Strick and Austin.
It's, hey, he looked as advertised. He looked really good in the spring game. And because of that, we're going back to a bowl game this year, is what Husker fans are telling them. So I think the fans have a more realistic perspective, and I think this coaching staff has done a really good job of handling Dylan Raiola and the expectations around him.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Your business runs like a well-oiled machine. It's important that your actual machines do too. Stern is here to make sure you don't have to worry about that. They provide solutions for heavy equipment and automotive fuels, lubricants, and equipment guard options. And with Stern's commitment to customer service for the past 40 years, you know you have a partner to help support your operations for years to come. Contact Roger at Stern Company by calling 1-800-477-2744 or visit them online at stern.co. Stern Company, where problems meet solvers. Are you looking to get into the electrical construction industry or wanting a new scene? The electrical workers of local union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
This is Sunday Rewind on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Going to be a good finish at the PGA Championship at Valhalla, where Scotty Scheffler is not a big factor this week. Of course, he was the big story, but not a big factor. It's Xander Schauffele at 20 under par, Bryson DeChambeau 19 under par, Victor Hovland also 19. It'd be a good finish. In fact, it looks like I think it's Hovland that has like a 10-footer to tie. This looks like it could go down to the absolute wire. It feels like also something that Bryson DeChambeau will find a way to get in contention, get the lead, and then lose. I don't know.
I'd be fine with that. I don't like him.
A lot of people don't. I do like him because he's such a weirdo. He's such a golf nerd. I kind of like that. Evan Bland, are you a golf nerd? Are you a casual golf watcher? How do you feel about the subject?
The sport of golf?
Yes.
I did it a bunch in college, failed miserably, haven't done it in a few years, but I'm competitive in any mini golf setting at the moment.
You played mini golf in college, or did you actually play golf in college?
No, not for a team. I screwed around with friends, and we drove to some area courses, but that was about it.
All right. I thought we had a breaking story there. Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Nebraska baseball, they get 2 out of 3 this weekend. It looked good going into Sunday, another Sunday stumble. But second seed, if I would have told you that before the season, knowing Nebraska was picked 5th, you would have taken it, right?
Yes, I would have. I think the coaches picked Nebraska 5th. My own rankings, I put Nebraska 3rd. I thought Iowa and Indiana had the best teams, or certainly the most proven commodities going into the season. Like, you think about the outlook for Nebraska 4 months ago was, hey, they lost their Friday and Saturday starters to the Major League Draft. They lost their middle infield, which was making like $5 million in signing bonus money. So, like, what's the offense going to look like? And how does the rotation come together? There was a sense that there was some depth, but like, you didn't really know who would rise to the top. And so here you are at the end of the regular season. Brett Sears has been probably the best pitcher in the Big Ten. You could make an argument for Brody Brecht, but Sears has been the most consistent. Mason McConaughey has come into his own. And the offense, while maybe without an individual star like they had last year, has maybe a stronger identity and more of a consistent way of generating runs. So, yeah, I think if the goal is to make the NCAA tournament and see what happens, that's at this point, that's mission accomplished for Nebraska. I think they're in, regardless of what happens in the Big Ten tournament this week. They seem pretty well locked into a regional 2 seed. Obviously, based on how the first half of the season went, maybe there's some disappointment that they're out of the regional hosting discussion, but absolutely, if you talk about where they are now relative to kind of what the thought was in January, this season's been a rousing success.
It has, and the midweek games again were a bugaboo. I mean, they go 4-7 in the midweek, 0-3 to Creighton. The horrible loss last Tuesday to South Dakota State. All that aside, though, it is what it is. We're where we are at. They're the 2 seed. They've got Ohio State on Tuesday. What do you think of that matchup, and what do you think is going to transpire in the Big Ten tournament?
I mean, I like the matchup for Nebraska. I kind of felt like when you look at the standings this year, like you want to be the 1 or the 2. Like Penn State kind of just barely made it in. Ohio State probably has the least amount of star power of anybody in the field. They're still sort of a building program with a new second-year coaching staff, kind of figuring some things out. So, I mean, I like the matchup. Nebraska took 2 out of 3 earlier in the year. You kind of look at the field, and Nebraska far and away has the best earned run average as a team of anybody in the group. And a lot of that's because they have the best 1-2 punch in the rotation in Brett Sears and Mason McConaughey. So like, I feel that Nebraska is going to be very competitive through those first 2 games for sure. And then that third game, whether that's, in a semifinal, maybe a loser's bracket situation, or maybe it's in the Big Ten championship, who that is to me still is the big X factor. And it kind of looks like Jackson Brockett's still that guy. He struggled at Michigan State last weekend. The command wasn't really there for him consistently. So to me, that's still kind of the money game for Nebraska, or maybe the big question mark in the Big Ten tournament. And then in the NCAA regional is, what do you do when you get to that third game? And I think Brockett's done certainly enough to warrant a look. Will Walsh has done enough to warrant a look. Caleb Clark, I think, could be a starter and be pretty effective. So they have a few different ways they could go. Maybe it comes down to matchups, but I do like Nebraska's side of the bracket. I mean, Indiana as a potential Big Ten semifinal opponent. You got the crowd. I think they have a pretty, tangible sense of momentum going into the tournament. I mean, they haven't, you win 7 of 8 Big Ten weekends. That's pretty good. And you mentioned the midweek stuff. Technically they're playing in the middle of the week, but they're not playing any more midweek games the rest of the way. So they're going to be putting their best foot forward. And I think when they do that, they're as competitive as anyone, certainly in the Big Ten field. And then, beyond that, will be pretty exciting too.
He's Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald talking Husker baseball. We'll talk some a little Husker football as well. You mentioned Sundays are a problem for this team. They lack that Sunday starter, which also kind of carries over to the midweek. They struggled against Creighton this year, 0-3 against them, 0-2 versus Kansas. And one of the reasons that they're not, and because we talked about the potential of hosting, and it looked to be within reach at one point during the season. And certainly you're getting that Friday night guy and Sears and McConaughey now on Saturday, but that Sunday guy, is that the thing that you point to as the reason they're not a team that's maybe hosting a regional?
I mean, you'd like that. I don't know that that's a super requirement, just because, again, they've won all but 2 weekends this year. They lost their opening weekend series out in Dallas, and then they lost 2 of 3 at Rutgers. Other than that, they've still found a way to get it done. So, the midweek conversation to me this year is different than it was last year. Last year, they go 6-6, and I believe they were actually a little below 500, if I remember right, this year. But the difference is they scheduled a lot tougher this year. So they didn't lose to Omaha. They dropped multiple Summit League games against Summit League teams. And so, they struggled. But when you lose on the road to Kansas or when you lose on the road to Creighton, that doesn't kill you. And when you look at their RPI, outside, the exception to that, of course, was South Dakota State. And that plummeted their RPI a couple weeks ago. But I think if I'm Nebraska, I schedule exactly the way that I did this year in terms of power conference teams, home and home type of situations. And really, at that point, you actually have something to gain. You win the game, it bumps up your resume. You lose it, it doesn't really hurt you that much. I think the disappointment for Nebraska probably in losing those games was more on the offensive side of things, where, yeah, Nebraska maybe hasn't found that consistent fourth starter that you'd love to have, but a lot of teams don't, and the best teams find a way to slug out wins on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And so, like, you look on the other side, the Kansases and Wichita States and Creightons of the world were throwing guys with pretty unsightly ERAs of their own, and Nebraska more often than not wasn't able to bail out its own pitching staff. So I think that's probably part of it, but I think the way they set up the schedule this year, again, making those midweeks tougher and so they don't kill you outside of the South Dakota State game, that to me is the path they need to continue to repeat. And if they do that and maybe they win at a little higher rate in the future, that could be the difference between maybe hosting a regional and likely going on the road like they're going to here in a week or so.
Real quick, I want to jump in. National Weather Service out of Omaha has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Lancaster County, Saline County. Looks like the storm's going to stay a little bit to the south of Lincoln, but it's the severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 6:15. 60-mile-an-hour winds and quarter-sized hail are possible. So got that covered. Evan, let's jump to the NCAA tournament. Nebraska more than likely is in, more than likely a 2 seed. Who do you feel has been the most accurate over the last couple of years at prognosticating where teams are going to go, and where do you think Nebraska ultimately ends up in the NCAA tournament this year?
Oh man, most accurate. I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of that's, you take your best guess. I mean, D1 baseball does a good job. Baseball America does a good job. Those are the ones that tend to put out most of those projections. I think one thing that maybe fans don't often realize is and maybe this kind of came to light a couple years ago when they went to Arkansas. And Nebraska, Arkansas was the number 1 overall national seed that year. Nebraska was certainly not the worst 2 seed that year. They went to Arkansas as a 2 seed. So oftentimes the NCAA, especially if you're a better 2 seed, is going to send you somewhere closer geographically than what they will in terms of maybe a better matchup or things like that. So I think the better that Nebraska is as a 2 seed, the more likely you see them stay somewhat close to home. So you look at some of the potential hosts. I think Oklahoma seems like a likely possibility. You've seen them projected going to Indiana State. I saw one a couple weeks ago for North Carolina, which would be a little bit farther away, obviously. Texas A&M has been one, which would be quite something after what we saw with men's basketball. So I guess that's kind of what I'm anticipating is somewhere that could be within a day's drive for a lot of fans. And I think Nebraska's earned that. I think they've earned the right to stay somewhat close and have some support as opposed to, 2017 when they flew out to Oregon State and they were kind of a fringe 2 seed, that sort of thing. So, I think, again, because of their starting pitching, you got to have at least 2 starters once you get into the tournament. Nebraska's got that. You get to that third game and it's a little bit dicey. But, Nebraska's had guys that have stepped up in those situations too. So I think if the offense can deliver some clutch hits, which seems like that's what it's been all about when they win or lose, then they have as good a chance as anyone to compete. And we'll see what kind of run they can make.
He's Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald, covers Nebraska baseball, Nebraska football. Talked a little recruiting. We didn't get the chance to talk to you after TJ Lateef committed. They get their quarterback for 2025. The David Sanders Jr. is out there, probably the highest ranked recruit that's ever stepped foot on campus for Nebraska football. They're rumored to be in the mix for Dawson Merritt, apparently down to Alabama, Nebraska. What, do you feel that vibe? Like there's something good about to happen for Nebraska recruiting right now?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you look at the kind of the path that Matt Rule's Huskers took a year ago. I mean, June was when they kind of reap what they sow. So just in terms of turning those visits and official visits into commitments. And I think they're on a similar track now where you look ahead. I mean, some of the guys that you mentioned certainly are on commit watch, now and for the next couple of months. But you look at some of the official visits they have set up for June. They have a couple big camp days and weekends where they're going to put out new offers. And if it's anything like last year, they'll find some guys who are maybe under the radar who meet some of the measurables physically that Matt Rule and his staff are looking for. And so you probably see some commitments in that range as well. So I believe they're at 8 commitments right now in the 2025 class, Latif being the latest. So you've got your quarterback, which always helps recruiting momentum and peer recruiting and things of that nature too. And kind of you look at the timeline of recruiting now is a little bit different, where you probably do feel like you can lock up guys earlier than you could even 5 years ago, or maybe it would come down to some of those official visits on game days in the fall. I think this is kind of a time now where you'd love to have the majority of your class locked in and committed by the end of June. And so, yeah, I think they're at, again, 8 guys now. If they're closer to 15 by the end of June, I certainly wouldn't be surprised. And they have a lot of big names in the mix, probably a little bit bigger than last year. And I imagine that'll continue as long as that success carries over onto the field a little more next season.
How many do you think they ultimately put into the class, this year's recruiting class, Evan? And then another question, who's the next guy that's going to commit?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say. Like the number, scholarship numbers aren't what they were, right? I mean, it's hard to even know who's a walk-on and who's a scholarship player anymore with NIL. So, it's hard to say because you're also addressing needs after guys transfer out at the end of the season. You still have a few lingering players with COVID year options that you're not sure what they'll do. So it's such a moving target to me. Somewhere between 20 and 25 probably is the number. I think Nebraska is like a lot of schools now where you want to keep it on the lower end, at least by a couple of guys. So you're a little bit more flexible in the portal and able to address guys that way. But in terms of the next guy to commit, I mean, it could be Merritt. It could be a number of in-state players. They're in on a couple of running backs who I think have been interested in Nebraska as well. So, it's kind of a fun game to play. It could be a lot of different people. Again, they've had, you look at how many official visits and unofficial visits they've had just since the spring game or during spring ball. I mean, they impress a lot of recruits with the way that they practice, with the way that they coach. You see how much players enjoy it at Nebraska by how few have transferred out during the open portal window. So, I think this is, again, that time when that really takes effect. They put in a ton of work in the last year and certainly this spring. And so it would not surprise me at all to see a flurry of commitments here in the next 6 weeks or so.
He's Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Evan, one of the things the Nebraska program has always been known for is the walk-on program. And there's been talk about eliminating football walk-ons, maybe due to Title IX concerns in part and NIL coming and more, the fact that you're going to have to revenue share with players down the line. How likely do you think that happens, that we eliminate the walk-on in college football?
Well, I mean, I think it seems like that's probably the road we're headed down. I think the revenue sharing piece is the most significant one, where you're talking about, every school, every major player in college football having to shell out $20 million a year in revenue sharing to student athletes. And if you're doing that over rosters of 85 to 90, as opposed to what Nebraska's at, more like 140, then that's probably something that you want to do. And if you're eliminating more or less this idea of what scholarships and walk-ons are, you still probably would want to have more of a level playing field. So like if Nebraska can afford to have, essentially 130 scholarship players and other schools can't, I think that's something that they're looking to level out a little bit more. It certainly wouldn't be good for Nebraska. I think that's certainly, as everybody knows, has been an advantage for a long time and less so in recent years because of the rise of FCS schools and their ability to give you full scholarships. But, Nebraska still finds diamonds in the rough. They still fill out their roster for some dynamic practices where guys rotate and rarely get a chance to stand around. So, yeah, I think it would hurt Nebraska somewhat, certainly, if that were to come to pass. But I think just the way that college football is going and it's so driven by money, it makes a lot of sense. I think why a lot of schools want to go that route.
Finally, Evan, Nebraska football hasn't won more than 7 games, more than 8 games. So the last time they've had a successful season, 9-4, 2016. I think Circus Sports has Nebraska at 7.5 wins, would you go over or under that at this moment?
I would go over at this moment. I just, I think the defense is a proven commodity with what it has. I think, you just happen to plug in a 5-star prospect at the position that held Nebraska back grossly and obviously last year. And I think just the momentum that they have from the offseason can carry over. I mean, you go 4-8 or 5-7 last year and have all those games come down to 3 points. How different is that conversation if they had gone, 6-6 or 7-5 a year ago? I don't think then 7.5 wins looks nearly as big of a leap as maybe it does if you're just looking at the records. So, I have a lot of confidence in the defense. One exercise that I like to do is try to say, okay, what are the strongest positions on the team in terms of depth and just reliability? And to me, it might be both lines, offensive line, defensive line, which is a heck of a place to start if you're talking about turning things around and trying to win in the Big Ten. And then, the skill positions with what the receivers have done, Jalen Lloyd, Ja'Cory Barney, and then the transfers, Isaiah Nayor and Jamal Banks. Like that's a really interesting place to start. So, maybe it's some of the offseason Kool-Aid, which Nebraska always finds a way to inspire optimism. But it does feel like they've maybe found something here to break through and turn some of those close losses the other way.
It's funny, Evan, you would have made a lot of money betting the under on 7.5 wins over the last many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel the same way. I think I would bet the over again on 7. And maybe it's just Dylan Raiola right now, but it's also the things you mentioned. You finally have experience on the lines. It feels like you have depth on both the offense and defensive lines, maybe more so on the offensive line, which I never thought I would say, than the defensive line. So I think if I were to go over, and I would go over at this moment, it would be because of those things. Good stuff.
I agree.
Good stuff, Evan. We will not talk to you until August. We are stepping down for the summer. We'll miss you.
I'm going to go lay on the beach.
That's
I
right.
won't take that personally. That sounds good, guys.
All right. Great job with baseball, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Take care.
Thank you. Baseball and football recruiting, by the way. Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. He does a lot of football writing. He does a lot of baseball writing. I think he does great work as a baseball. He's just a good writer. I'm not buttering him up. I don't have to say those things. He just is. He's a good writer, and I enjoy reading this.
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent. Always good to read his stuff. Sahith Theegala just drained like a 60-footer for a closing 73.
This is going to be good. DeChambeau is at 60. He's done for the day. He shot 20 under. So Schauffele, I don't know where he is on the green, but he's at 20 under right now, going to 18. So he's going to need a birdie on 18 to win it. A tie will cause a playoff here. So there you go.
Is this a 4-hole playoff, or that's the British Open?
That's
or is this straight up?
Isn't that the U.S. Open that does?
No, the U.S. Open does
18
holes.
Yeah, U.S. Open does the 18 holes
the next day.
We saw
is
that.
This just straight up?
Yeah. This is just
because the British Open is a 4-hole playoff.
Right. I think this is just sudden death.
Okay.
I want to say it's sudden death, but I was guessing wrong in the first 2 answers, and you were right. So I don't know. That's a good question. I think it is sudden death, though.
Ooh.
And this looks like he has to get up and down just to win, right? Does he have to get up and I don't know. Let's take a break and we'll come back and figure out
to Evan. We
what
don't know
the
what's
hell's
going on
at the PGA Championship in Valhalla. By the way, they had a horse racing event. It wasn't in Louisville. It was at the Preakness.
Yeah.
Is it that Baltimore? I think that's
it's
in
Pimlico.
Pimlico. Okay.
Pimlico.
And Mystic Dan did not win. The other guy did.
Yep.
The other girl did.
Yep.
It's a girl.
Well, it's a guy.
It was a guy. Okay. Congratulations to that guy. Anyway, my knowledge of horse racing. Anyway, let's go to break. Come back with more. It's Husker Rewind. Mike Melby, Tom Stevens. More after this.
How do people feel about getting Big Fitness Energy at Planet Fitness for $1 down and $10 a month? They feel as thrilled as a kid the first summer they're tall enough to ride the roller coaster! That's right. When you join Planet Fitness right now, you'll get access to tons of equipment and free fitness training in a clean and spacious club. Don't wait. Join the judgment-free zone today for that all-day energy. Download the free Planet Fitness app and join today for $1 down, $10 a month.
Deal ends soon.
See Home Club for details.
What's the radon level at your home? Don't know? Find out with a call to Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating.
Make sure your home is safe with a radon check from Bryant. If you've already tested, ask Bryant for a free estimate for mitigation. Once completed, you'll get a report showing how much safer your home is. When it comes to radon, call Bryant 467-1111 for testing and mitigation. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
When we're looking out for a homeowner, we're always keeping their budget in mind. We try to maximize things that are important to them.
Bob Benish is the founder and president of Aspen Builders, online at aspenbuildersinc.com.
So we really try to maximize the size because 5 years from now, you can't just make your house bigger. The one thing I can tell you is that most builders in Lincoln, we all are about the same price. The difference comes in the products that we put in and the way we put in those products.
The old saying, you get what you pay for, is pretty accurate when you're building a home. If you put nicer windows in and you put nicer cabinets, it's going to cost a little bit more. You know, if those things are important to you, then you want to do it. We can try to incorporate in your floor plan and get a house that you're going to be happy with.
Make your dream home a reality and call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today. If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Electrical Enterprises in Roca reminds you, the men and women of our military dedicate themselves to serving our country. Their commitment and courage keep our country safe and strong. Let us honor those who have lost their lives in the line of duty and salute those serving today. This from Electrical Enterprises in Roca. For all your residential and commercial electrical construction needs, call 402-438-5822. We live in the land of the free, thanks to the brave.
Hello.
Angela, we have to break up.
But why?
Because you're a robot and I'm just a guy trying to get better internet.
It's Aloe Fiber, isn't it? I always knew you wanted faster speeds. My contract isn't good enough for you.
Face it, Angela, they let me talk to real people.
Press 4 to break my heart. Oh wait, you already did.
Visit aloefiber.com to switch today.
What's the radon level at your home? Don't know? Find out with a call to Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating. Make sure your home is safe with a radon check from Bryant. If you've already tested, ask Bryant for a free estimate for mitigation. Once completed, you'll get a report showing how much safer your home is. When it comes to radon, call Bryant 467-1111 for testing and mitigation. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Are you looking to get into the electrical construction industry or wanting a new scene? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Okay, it's time to sell the house. How do we even begin to choose from the hundreds of realtors in town?
Easy. We make a pros list.
You mean a pros and cons list?
No, just a pros list. We need someone with pro photography to showcase the house in the best possible way, pro marketing to make sure we get maximum exposure, pro negotiations so we know we get the best price.
This is one of those times where you already know the right answer, isn't it?
You know it is. Ben Bleicher and Professional Realty Group.
Contact Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Services Ambassador. Online at prg-ne.com.
This is Sunday Rewind. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to Husker Rewind. That is Tom Stevens.
Hello.
I'm Mike Melby, and it is T-minus 1 hour and 10 minutes away from a summer break for you and I. And you were talking about Seize the Gray was the name of the horse that won the Preakness.
Yes, I'd never heard of Seize. I don't hear. Yeah,
You don't follow
that
horse racing the
I
way
know
I do,
nothing.
so.
I really know nothing about horse racing, even though my uncle was a jockey, as I've told you before.
Yeah.
So I would spend a lot of time as a kid with horses. Sometimes we would get to train or walk them.
Yeah.
They needed walkers,
Yep.
and we'd get to walk the horses. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, when I was a kid, there was a trainer named Rob Ring out of Kimball. And a good friend of my dad's had a horse that was one of the ones that Rob trained. Ultimately, Rob had a son named Robbie that was roughly my age, like a year younger. And Dad took me there at 6 o'clock one morning and said, "Have fun. This is Robbie." And I'm like, "Hi, Robbie. I'm Mike." And we had a blast that day. And Dad picked me up that afternoon. He said, "You want to come back tomorrow?" I said, "I'd come back every day if you'd let me in for like 3 straight summers." That's all I did was go when they were in Lincoln. And so I was a horse trainer, air quotes.
I guess that's kind of what I was. I was a horse walker, really.
Yeah, I would hot walk them or take them over to the hot walker on occasion, walk them, muck the stalls, wash the ace bandages. I mean, there was a lot of nasty, not fun work, but it was a great time. And it was always fun because I'd go up to, I'd have $5 that Dad would give me, and he'd have Lois go bet for me. That was Rob's wife. And I'd say, I want all $5 to win on number 7. And she'd come back and there'd be $5 to win on number 4. And I'd go, "You picked the wrong horse." And she'd always go, "No, you did." She didn't lose often, which means I didn't lose often.
Our buddy, Dave Sanderson, sometimes likes to bet. And he likes to bet on horses. I remember being with him one night where I think it was a pick 3 or something like that. No, he had. It was a
superfecta.
It was a superfecta. I think it was a superfecta.
It was a superfecta. I know the story.
And he gave him a track, and it was, instead of Santa Anita, it was Santa something else. And they gave him the wrong track, and he was just furious. I remember sitting there and watching the race, and really mad, and almost tore up his ticket because he was looking at the wrong track for the race. And then realized at the other track, looked at the ticket, it was a different track, and he had won, I think it was $3,000.
Yeah.
It might have been more than that because he picked the wrong track.
Well, the person picked the wrong track.
Well,
yeah.
Or he slurred the wrong track. I don't
never know.
He might have said the wrong
track.
So
we went to Fauner out in Grand Island last year with my dad, and I hit my first superfecta. And it was so funny because I messed it up. I wanted the 2, 3, 4, 5, and I was going to box them and make it like a 10-cent super. And I didn't hit box when because I go to the Amato where you just touch the screen. And so I just went superfecta 10-cent, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I thought I hit box. I did not. I hit print.
Oh, no.
But the 2 won. Then the 3 was second. 4 was third. And the 5 was fourth. But the 5 was the 4th favorite horse in that race, followed by the 4 and the 3 and the 2.
Right.
They went in exact order. And my 10-cent ticket won me $5.90 or something like that.
Wow. You're a rich man. You're paying
but
for
I was
dinner.
like, hey, I finally hit a superfecta.
Congratulations on that. We've got a good guest. We're going to talk a little more golf because we're going to have a winner. If Xander Schauffele makes this putt from 5 feet away, he's going to win the PGA Championship.
Answer me a question really quick before he steps up. How many times growing up did you take this putt on a practice green or on a green
for the championship?
For the championship,
it's like hitting the free throw in the driveway.
How many times?
Millions.
I was going to say under 10,000,
and I don't think. And he made it. It went all the way around the hole and in. And now Xander Schauffele, probably the best player that hasn't won a championship, a major. He's now won a major.
I would say that's now Victor Hovland. I love Ricky Fowler, but
Hovland hasn't. Maybe he's like almost player of the year last year, but you're right.
He won the FedEx Cup last year, but he has never won a major. His best finish is second.
Wow.
I looked it up earlier
I would
today.
have guessed for some reason that Victor Hovland had won a major. And now Xander Schauffele has, congratulations to him because he seems like a good dude.
He really does.
And he's a big, big hitter, as they all are on tour these days. And now he's won the PGA Championship at Valhalla. We'll talk about it with one of the best golf guys around.
Yep.
In fact, the Nebraska Hall of Famer is Jim White at the Fairways of Lincoln. I think that's what it's called. Yes. And we'll talk to him. He's the director of golf there. We'll talk to him next.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today. RC's Boxing Production is proud to present the new prospects at the Complex. Come enjoy a show of Lincoln's best professional and amateur boxers on Saturday, May 25th at the Complex, the former location of Champions Fun Center. Doors open at 6 p.m. with first bout at 7 p.m. Learn more about the boxers and buy tickets at thecomplexlincoln.com. You won't want to miss this event. It's the new prospects at the Complex on Saturday, May 25th at 1555 Yolanda Avenue, right off of Cornhusker Highway.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
Harvey Perlman was there.
Yeah, Harvey's there.
Harvey sidled up to me and said, Sipple, a little out of context. So I was driving back. I called Pelini and I told him what Harvey said. He goes, Sipple, you should have told him anytime he's not near a sewer, he's out of context.
Whoa! Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
Your child was embarrassed when you arrived at their basketball game. 75% of parents or guardians report current alcohol use. Drinking alcohol can cause harm to children and loved ones. By drinking less, your child will be excited to see you at their basketball game. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
When we're looking out for a homeowner, we're always keeping their budget in mind. We try to maximize things that are important to them.
Bob Benish is the founder and president of Aspen Builders, online at aspenbuildersinc.com.
So we really try to maximize the size because 5 years from now, you can't just make your house bigger. The one thing I can tell you is that most builders in Lincoln, we all are about the same price. The difference comes in the products that we put in and the way we put in those products.
The old saying, you get what you pay for, is pretty accurate when you're building a home. If you put nicer windows in and you put nicer cabinets, it's going to cost a little bit more. You know, if those things are important to you, then you want to do it. We can try to incorporate in your floor plan and get a house that you're going to be happy with.
Make your dream home a reality and call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
Spring often marks the beginning of severe weather, which can lead to power outages. LES wants you to be prepared before the storm. Restock your emergency kit. Update your info with LES, and if you encounter an outage, report it at les.com/report.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for more than 40 years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring, remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Sandhills Global is hiring. With their fast-paced, growing culture, they have hundreds of new openings in sales, marketing, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Full-time roles offer a 4.5-day work week, along with flexible internships in most areas. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Find your fit today at www.sandhills.jobs.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is Sunday Rewind.
Take it back now, y'all.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Now, here are your hosts, Tom Stevens and Mike Melby.
Welcome in, hour number 2, Tom and Mike Husker Rewind, where Vander Schauffele has just hit a 6-foot putt. Well, he didn't do it in the studio. He did it at Valhalla at the PGA Championship to win his first major, and we were just talking among ourselves, Mike and Tom here in studio. Is he the best player to have not won a major? And Jim White, we welcome in, of course, longtime pro and Nebraska Hall of Fame golfer. Would you call him the best to have not won a major?
I would say yes. His consistency over the last, his whole career. I mean, the guy's just seems like he's in the hunt almost every week and finds a way not to close out big tournaments. And this week in particular, to come out with a victory when he led every round last week and didn't win, and the pressure of leading a tournament, the mental and physical strain of that, and to do it for like 8 rounds in a row at big tournaments. I was so happy that he won that, because he has persevered. There's no question about it. And, he's fun to watch. He just goes about his business. He, looks the same on every shot, swings the same on every shot. He just, and has the whole game. He's a phenomenal iron player. He's picked up 4 or 5 miles an hour on his ball speed. Fabulous putter, short game. I mean, he's the whole package. So he's built for major championships. And, I was happy that last putt went in. It was 6'3", but it went about 6'6" if you count the circle around the back of the hole before it dropped in. So I was happy for him, because that's tough to do.
Jim White joining us on the Allo VIP line. I asked Tom this right before he hit the putt. How many times in your life when you were younger, you had far more success with your golf careers than Tom and I ever did. How many times when you were younger, before you realized how good you were and the success that you did start to have, how many times did you hit that putt on the practice green or a practice round, or even in a tournament where maybe it's just the 7th hole, but it's one where you're playing well? How many times did you play that in your mind as this is for a major?
Yeah, I think every kid that plays golf, if you're not putting yourself in those scenarios on the practice green or even on the golf course when you're playing tournament golf, would be kidding themselves. So yeah, it's fun to do that. And obviously you can't create the pressure, but certainly as young golfers, I mean, you encourage them to, at least mentally try to put yourself in those positions and have to make putts and have to make chip shots, have to get it up and down to win tournaments. So it happened a lot. No question about it.
He's the director of golf at Fairways of Lincoln and a Nebraska Hall of Famer of golf, Jim White. We came into the weekend thinking this was Scotty Scheffler's tournament, and it looked like maybe it would be. Even after he was arrested, played pretty well. And then ultimately something threw off the routine. But a nice comeback today, because I thought once that he melted, and went to 5 under par, hit it out of bounds, stuff you had never seen Scheffler do. I thought Scotty actually had a decent weekend when he finished in the top 10 and come back after that. After being arrested, then you kind of melt down. It's hard to come back from that, isn't it?
Oh, no question. And yeah, I was happy for him too. I mean, it was really too bad. I mean, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding going on the more you hear about it, and, trying to get into that gate to try and stay into your routine. And it's dark, it was raining, and, you got a guy in a yellow, hood, directing traffic or whatever. And I guarantee you, most of the volunteers were wearing the same as the police were. So I could definitely see the mix up, and I doubt anything will come of it. And certainly took him out of his rhythm, but he fought it off the first day. And then the second day on Saturday, yesterday, he struggled. Yeah. But I'm glad he came back today. He's a guy that's really, he's in such a good place mentally, it seems like, all the time. And he got taken out of his routine, and I think, it kind of affected him on Friday, but definitely affected him yesterday. And then, he regrouped, got back into his routine, and put up another solid number. He's been a lot of fun to watch all year. Just amazing player, and I'm happy for his success too, because he's what we want the model golfers to be like and act like. So it's been an interesting year so far for golf.
Well, yeah, it's been a very interesting year when you talk about the dichotomy, the PGA Tour, which seems to be less sexy. We finally get to a PGA championship and you get a DeChambeau. You get the drama that we had today. But it feels like, man, I would like to find the PGA Tour and Live Tour to somehow come together so we can get more of the best golfers on the same stage week after week, because we're not getting that right now.
Yeah, exactly. And certainly with Brooks winning this tournament last year, and some of those other guys being in contention, and then DeChambeau today just putting on a driving exhibition. That tee shot he hit on 17, 196 miles per hour ball speed. I mean, think about that. We've got to enjoy watching Rory McIlroy play for years, and when he's cranking it up, he's in the 180s. And so to get to see that monster tee shot on 17 and followed up with a gap wedge to a 480-yard par 4 is pretty crazy. I mean, I've had the pleasure to play Valhalla in 2 of these championships, so it's been it's fun for me to watch it because I know the holes and everything. Although they've added some tee boxes on some of these par 4s, playing at 7,600 yards is just incredible. But they're hitting the ball 8 miles and pretty straight, and you give them soft greens and it doesn't matter. They can find ways to put up scores. I mean, 21 under on Valhalla is pretty ridiculous. So
it is one of the things that has been a talking point, around golf, professional golf especially, is the fact that the technology has gotten to the point where we need to lengthen courses. We need to back off the technology because it's almost becoming, unfair for the course. Where do you stand on that part of it? Courses that traditionally, maybe they're landlocked, they can't make the holes any longer. Plus, you also want to have a course that, the average Joe can go out and play, whether it's a country club or a private club or not, because not all of them are going to be able to take a 7,600-yard course and break, 120 in some instances. But where do you stand on that whole technology versus redoing courses? Well, they have got this rollback of the golf ball coming, and that'll be interesting. I'm not a huge fan of it, I guess. I hate to see the pros playing with a different ball than the amateurs, and I think it's going to create, issues, and I hope it doesn't really go into effect. But I also don't like the prospect of there being an 8,000 yard long golf course just so guys, but you go back in time. I mean, guys that can hit it long and straight are going to have an advantage no matter how long the golf course is. They're still going to have the ability to, hit shorter irons into greens, and over time, over 72 holes, those guys are going to come out on top unless they're terrible putters. So you still got to hit the great iron shots. You still got to putt the ball really well to win. So I don't know. I mean, it's a really tough call. I mean, they've kind of painted themselves into a corner with this, and I don't like the solution they're presenting.
You mentioned you're against the rollback then, and when does that start? 2030, or is that that far away?
I don't know if it's that far away, but I don't know exactly the year, but I'm not a big fan of the rollback thing. So it's I guess it'll help maybe more golf courses will come into play for big tournaments, that like you said, are landlocked and can't really extend the golf courses. Maybe they'll be back in the hunt to host some of these bigger tournaments, but that's about it. I mean, it's still going to be the guys that hit it long are going to have the advantage. And this week, I mean, you got Xander that's 125 mile an hour ball speed against DeChambeau, who's probably in the 130s. And those are two of the longest hitters this week, but they also had a lot of other game too. They also had to hit great iron shots, and they also had to scramble a few times. They also had to make putts. So to me, it all comes down to that eventually anyway. So, and Rory, when he won here, I mean, he was just bombing tee shots, the last back nine especially, and just put on a driving exhibition. And hey, that's a big part of the game too. It's not all irons and putting. You definitely got to drive it long and straight too. So
he's the director of golf at Fairways of Lincoln, Jim White, Nebraska Hall of Famer. Is this it for Tiger? I mean, do you think he even plays? I guess he'll play the U.S. Open. He'll play the Open Championship, but he's not competing right now. Do you think he kind of thinks about it if he continues to play like this?
Yeah, I don't know. He doesn't have a whole lot of game right now, and I think part of it. I mean, he's looked better as far as walking this year, the last couple tournaments especially, but you expect to go out and compete against these guys when you're playing, one tournament a month. I mean, that ain't going to happen. I don't care how great he is. I mean, if he starts playing a little bit more and because, sometimes he's, looked pretty good swinging the golf club. His club head speed's, decent. I mean, he's got the ball speed up in the high 170s. And when he was winning a lot of tournaments, I mean, he was the best iron player from every yardage that they measured. So if he could get that part of the game back, and which you'd think with his situation that would be the easiest part of the game to get back, and then we all know his prowess as a phenomenal putter and chipper of the ball. So I hate to count the guy totally out, but at 48, it's certainly going to be a huge hill to climb against these guys that are physically fit, strong, and are certainly capable of beating him every time they go out. So there's a lot of guys he'd have to jump over to try and get in the winner's circle again for sure.
Much agreed. Nebraska Hall of Famer Jim White, thanks for spending the time. You play much competitive golf right now?
Just our section events. I'm still enjoying getting out and playing and working on my game. I think that's one thing that people need to realize, that golf is a kind of a lifelong process to get good, and I'm kind of living proof of that. just keep working on things and trying to improve different techniques and get my swing a little better. And as I got older, I've lost club head speed, so the ball doesn't go quite as high. So I've worked on changing my swing so I can hit the ball higher, land it softer, and so you never stop fighting. I still enjoy that part of it, so I'll keep playing for a while.
Well, I'm bringing my clubs to you in a couple of weeks. I need them regripped again, so we'll bring them on over.
You got it.
There you go.
Got it, Tommy. Anytime, bud.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
Good spending time with you. Take care.
There you go.
Bye-bye.
Nebraska Hall of Famer, Golf Hall of Famer Jim White, the director of golf at Fairways of Lincoln. He's really fun to play with.
That's a fun course too.
Yeah,
like it is. It's one of the last times I played.
It's not easy.
No,
it's tight.
And one of the last times I played, which was now 6 years ago, was actually at Fairways of Lincoln. So,
real quick, Jim White story. He tricked me on my 50th birthday. My wife Heidi set up my 50th birthday surprise party and called my cousin and just the people that she knew. And a lot of times your wife doesn't even know who you hang out with. She's just guessing. But to make it a surprise, she's just trying to figure it out. But anyway, the whole Jim White, who used to come on our show on the ticket all the time, like on Thursdays, and talk about golf, Thursdays or Fridays, and talk about golf. He just it was crazy.
Shows up for your 50th birthday?
Yeah, he just we show up. We were going to take on Jim White, John Gaskins, and myself in a scramble, and that's how he got me into the club. And he wasn't gonna take me on. He just wanted me to get in this group and my friends are all there at the pro shop for some reason, hiding, and then they come out and I don't even recognize them because I'm thinking about I've got to beat Jim White. And of course it was just a big ruse to get out to Firethorn. He was the pro at Firethorn at that particular time. So there, it was fun. He never did play in the event, but the guy, I have played with him 2 or 3 times. He hits it still 260, and he's the most accurate golfer you've ever seen. Yeah, he's really, really good. Nebraska hoops. I was going to talk a little bit about the mask thing. We talked a little bit before we went on vacation. They brought in a UCLA grad transfer over the weekend, and so far there have been no reports. It feels like Nebraska might just pocket the 2 scholarships, right? They've got 2 scholarships. Do you wait and wait and wait until you find somebody in the portal that's any good, or what do you do?
That's the whole thing. You don't want to just find somebody that's good that wants to come play here. You need somebody that fits the culture of the team, that fits the attitude of the team. I don't know. I guess I'm extremely underwhelmed with the portal additions. And
it feels like they've got some good players, but they're going to need to have banner years.
Yeah,
the best years they've ever had.
Well, and the thing is, I was really underwhelmed with last year's portal additions, and then I realized exactly how good they are and how well they play together.
That's true.
So it's really
Bryce Williams. Like I was thinking that's a good addition. I didn't think he would be that good.
Yeah, I mean, Bryce Williams is a guy that realistically, if Nebraska has a point guard, okay, if they have a point guard that they know they can count on, which I'm hearing Aaron Eulis is the guy, not Raleigh Wooster. Bryce Williams could go for 24 and 8 nightly.
Mm-hmm.
Like he really could. And it would be the quietest, most efficient 24 and 8. James Palmer could go for 24 and 8, but he'd do it on 31 shots.
Yeah, Bryce Williams is probably the most versatile guy, I think, on the team. He can play the 1, he can play the 2, play the 3. Heck, he could probably play the 4 if you needed him to. He probably can't play the 5, but he's 6'7", so at least he would add that. But he's a pretty decent rebounder. He's not a bad defender. He's a really good shooter. He's a great free throw shooter, and he's a decent passer. There's not anything that he really does badly. I think,
absolutely not.
And a lot of guys, you think, well, man, we can't put him in this situation. Otherwise, we're really good. He's really good at these 3 things, but these 2 things keep him away from those. I mean, you don't feel like Bryce is ever in a situation where he's in a mismatch or in a bad situation, I don't think.
No, and this is one where you efforted. We had Sam Hoiberg lined up for last week's show, but because Supernovas volleyball was on and we didn't have a stream of availability, or at least that's what we were told. I found out after the fact we actually did. We could have done a show.
Really?
Yeah. But when I was told that, I had already made plans, and it was like,
I didn't know that.
Later,
this is the first time hearing that we could have done a show last week.
I already had played. We could not have put it together in the amount of time we had left before.
So they called like 10 minutes before the show. Maybe 11. Had to go on. Okay, 11 minutes. So we would have had plenty of time to.
But we had Sam Hoiberg scheduled for last week. He couldn't make it today.
He really tried to make it today.
He's one that I would love to have had on the air so that we could have just picked his brain a little bit on, what are these new pieces going to do? What have we just not heard about them? Know that Sam's been in a couple of pickup games with the guys that have been on campus already. Some of them may already be here. Maybe it was just on the visit, but some intangibles that, players know that, maybe they're not going to get asked about their teammates a lot. But we don't have him. So we can speculate again. To me, totally underwhelming transfer portal class for Fred Hoiberg, just like I thought last year's was, and I was horribly wrong.
I was excited about Bryce Williams and Rick Mass, both those guys. And you knew you had Jawan Gary. But you also knew that you had Casey coming back, and that's why we were excited. He was a preseason all-conference player, and we were all excited that I think you said that maybe he could get 20 a game, and I think I said somewhere around 12 is what I would take, and it ended up being like 14 a game is what you got games where he scored 30, and you had games where he scored 5 or none, or around none. But toward the end of this, that's the X factor. I would feel comfortable with the class if you could say, oh, by the way, Casey is also coming back. Then I'd feel really good about the team. But I'm underwhelmed right now, unless they add some big time transfer, unless somebody else comes up. I think they still need, and I can't even pronounce his name. I can't even begin to pronounce his name because it's one of those names. But he was in town over the weekend. UCLA transfer, Berkey, and I'm not going to try to do it. But anyway.
Well, Acor from Samford is who I would love to see them go after, but
there were guys that we wanted Frankie Fiddler, didn't get him. At one time we thought maybe Frankie Fiddler was part of a package deal with a few other dudes, but That never materialized. Nebraska, I think they got a really good get in Andrew Morgan. I think that's their best recruit in this class, in this transfer portal class. He was very effective, high percentage shooter, makes 60% of his field goals, decent free throw shooter, can make shots from the three-point line. I think he's the best addition. Is he Bryce Williams good? I don't know. I just don't know. And not having, if you would have told me also that Rick Mass is coming back, I would have said, okay, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Oh, you got Morgan and Mass playing down low together? Fine. We're fine. But I think they're missing, as we stand right now, a big. Maybe it's Josiah Alec, that type of replacement, or a Mass replacement, either one. If you could tell me that either one is coming, I'd much rather have Mass, obviously, because Josiah was a little more limited until he figured it out at the end of the year offensively.
So you're talking about Burke Bayek-Tunsil?
Bayek-Tunsil?
Bayek-Tunsil.
Burke Bayek-Tunsil. Yeah, that's not hard to pronounce
Educated
at all.
guess.
That's not, you're just guessing.
It's an educated guess. I mean, if I can say Eli Vlasavovich with the way it's spelled.
Spell it.
Buyuktuncel.
Yeah, that's not, that's just a complete guess. But it's actually a pretty good guess. I mean, it's phonetic.
6'9", 245, averaged 4.5 points, 2.5 rebounds last year, only played in 26 games, 16 minutes a game, did shoot some threes. He hit 29.7%, not good from the line, 63%, not good from the field, 38% overall.
Project. He seems like a project.
You know what? I don't need a project.
Although he was like a top 40 player, apparently, coming to the States.
Yeah, he's from Bursa, Turkey.
All right. Let's go to break, and we'll talk about other things, some special things with Tom Chattel of the Omaha World Herald. He writes for them. He's the columnist. He's the main columnist, and we'll talk to him next.
Hello, this is Mary Pat Waite. I've had the privilege of working with Lincoln families as their realtor for more than 31 years, and I'm so proud to be associated with MP Dodge Real Estate. For me, your transaction is unique in its own way. My experience allows me to bring you trusted care and a really great outcome. My NP Dodge family shares the same client focus.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with Taco Night on Mondays or Whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Wall-to-Wall Wine & Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled, high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars, Wall-to-Wall Wine & Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Load up on meat and more this spring at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese at 84th and Havelock. This week's special through May 21st is the revealing of the Mystery Box promotion, a $225 value for only $99. That includes 3 8-ounce fillets, 2 4-ounce fillets, 4 New York strips, and 4 8-ounce sirloins. Also 15% off all spices. Locations at 84th and Havelock and 30th and Yankee Hill in Lincoln or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans, begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for more than 40 years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring, remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197. 560-6197.
Hi, it's Tom and Mike from Husker Rewind. And did you know that people who are represented by an attorney are often compensated up to 3 times more than someone who is not?
Friedman Law has been helping injured people for over 60 years. It's all they do. If you're ever seriously injured in an accident, call Friedman Law at 402-476-1093.
Friedman Law is a family firm that works hard for Nebraska families just like yours.
So if you're ever injured on the job or in a crash, contact Friedman Law at friedmanlaw.com.
This is Coach Bill Bush. You all know my passion for Nebraska. Having coached all over the country, I can honestly say there is no place like Nebraska. You know where there's also no place like? Midwest Bank. Midwest Bank has proudly served Nebraska for over 70 years, and they're located in 9 different communities. Midwest Bank is ready, willing, and able to meet all your personal, business, and agriculture needs. Your community, your bank, and mine, Midwest Bank. Find out more at Midwest Bank. Member FDIC.
For over 15 years, Integrated Life Choices has empowered individuals with disabilities in Lincoln and throughout Nebraska. They provide comprehensive services from group homes and independent living services to job training, ensuring fulfilling lives for those that they serve. Now, they're inviting you to join their mission. If you're passionate about making a difference in the lives of people with developmental disabilities, explore rewarding career opportunities with them. Learn more about their services and apply today at www.ilc.net. Be a part of Integrated Life Choices, where your work truly changes lives.
Hello.
Angela, we have to break up.
But why?
Because you're a robot and I'm just a guy trying to get better internet.
It's Aloe Fiber, isn't it? I always knew you wanted faster speeds. My contract isn't good enough for you.
Face it, Angela, they let me talk to real people.
Press 4 to break my heart. Oh wait, you already did.
Visit aloefiber.com to switch today.
This is Sunday Rewind on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to Husker Rewind here on 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Mr. Tom Stevens.
Hello.
On the slide guitar. To my right, my name is Mike Melby.
Can you play an instrument?
I can air drum, air guitar, air bass, and air sing with the best of them. I can even air ukulele, and I can air accordion. Wow. Not many people can air accordion, but I can. Just gonna pat myself on the back.
Impressive
Took a lot
resume.
of practice.
That is a good-looking resume.
I have zero musical skills.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know if Tom Chattel has any musical skills, but I'm betting he's got to be able to play something. But his writing skills are unbelievable.
Yeah, that's all he needs.
And we're thrilled that he is going to join us on the Allo VIP line. Tom, can you play an instrument?
I can hum.
Hey, you know what? I cannot even do that.
And I do frequently. So people tell me. I don't hear myself do it, but apparently that's what I do. And I guess that's what that's my talent. So that's about the size of it. But no, I love music, but and I always wanted to be somebody that had those talents. But I spent all my time writing, so here I am.
Well, he writes well. That's what he does. Tom Chattel of the Omaha World Herald. You wrote about Nebraska baseball today, and you said, Will Bolt obviously has done a good job. But there are some people who would criticize him. But if you would have told me at the start of the season, hey, they'll be the second seed in the Big Ten tournament, I would have taken that. I imagine you would have as well, right?
Yeah, especially after losing the two big boppers that they did. They got drafted last year. I don't think anybody really knew what to expect. They opened up with a couple of pretty tough tournaments, and I think they opened up a lot of eyes early on with how they won those games. So all of a sudden the standard got higher as all of a sudden we weren't expecting that much, and now then going into March, this might be pretty good. So. If they could just take the midweek out of the season,
exactly,
this would be a hell of a deal. But no, they I think they did well. It's because of the midweek. It's kind of a mixed bag, and I could sense people got their hopes up, and when you give up 8 runs in the last 2 innings to lose, not once but twice in a row, I think people thought, man, we might be able to host, and all of a sudden, are they going to make the tournament? It was just so. But that's what that's what Bolt wants. He wants high standards. He wants people to, and he wants his players to expect to win. So, guys, because he played here, and then he was a grad assistant for a while, and then I think he came back for a year or 2 under Erstad, and he just feels like he's been here forever. But it's only his 4th year. It's his 4th season, and I think it's been good. It could be better, but I think dealing with the pandemic and a lot of stuff. But I think it's been a good start.
Tom Chattel from the Omaha World Herald joining us on the Allo VIP line. Tom, Troy Dannon came out and gave some clarification on the massive $450 million stadium project. Looks like South Stadium is going to live to see a couple of more years before they really worry about that. East and West stadiums are going to be the major focus. There's still talk of possibly a grass field, but logistics come into play there. Great article by you about the way everything is kind of played out with that interview. What didn't make it into the article?
I thought it was interesting, and maybe it was in Sam's interview with Dannon, but I thought it was interesting that the Regents told Trev, and then also Dannon, we're not going to do all this until we're going to go through this. I guess phase by phase, and each phase is going to get paid for before we do another one. And I'm wondering if that had something to do with Trev leaving. I don't know. It seemed like he wanted to get it all done at once. He wanted to just and that was a lot to expect and a lot to pay for. These are old stadiums. You can't, when you're in college football, you can't build a new stadium.
Nope.
And I was wondering, if we could build a new Husker Stadium, where would you put it? That's an interesting question. But I think you kind of have to take your time on sometimes with these things, and especially in a time now where NIL is of course NIL, and there might be revenue sharing around the corner. There's probably going to be revenue sharing, and it's probably going to be $20 million. If you're going to buy into that, if you're going to buy into that game, I'm okay with this. I think it's probably a smart play to do this. Do the East and West stands first. That's where all the money is. And then if you give people better seats, you can charge them more money, and you can, the stadium could probably be a lot better revenue source than it's been. But by God, don't forget the people in the South Stadium. That thing, my wife and my father-in-law been going to games there for years, and I've gone up to see them a couple of times, and boy, it's not good. It's hard to get up those ramps sometimes, and bathrooms aren't good. A lot of things are not perfect, and those people have been doing that for decades. So also take care of the students. I really want the students to have their own section, somewhere where they matter and they can have an impact. I think the best student sections in college football are probably in the end zones, unless you want to put them behind the opponent's bench and have them scream at Dion all night. But just as bad. But those seats are going to cost a bunch. It'll be chairbacks, right? So those, I don't know too many students who can make that donation. So I think this is a good move, but don't forget about the people in the South. And don't forget the students.
Yeah, but they always go to the guys that can make the money. And the East and the West sides, obviously, you can license those. You can't do that as much in the South Stadium, even though South Stadium is the one that probably needs the most work overall. We talked about wins and potential wins. You mentioned Colorado on the schedule. It was announced this last week, that it's going to be a 6:30 game on NBC. Matt Rule called it an infomercial, basically, for Nebraska football. Do you see it as that?
Yes, and you hope it's a good infomercial. You hope it's one that has a very happy crowd. It's going to be loud. They'll be able to do all their red lights and all their the shooting up of the fire and all that stuff. And man, it's going to be crazy. It's I guess they're in my time here since '91. There have been two games that everybody talks about that were like no other with atmosphere, and that was 2014 Miami was sort of the most recent generation would point to that. But before that, there was '92 Colorado, Halloween '92. To me, those crowds were just different. The Husker crowds, especially when they're winning, can be very loud. Those crowds were just bloodthirsty. That's the word I use. They were. I mean, everybody wanted blood. They wanted to just bury the opponent, and every chance they got, the crowd was all over it. I expect this to be a lot like that. I don't know if it'll match it, but Unite, if anything, they score early, if they get any kind of momentum, I think it could really be something.
I was just going to ask you, do you think it's going to reach the level of vitriol that was in that stadium on Saturday, September 20th, 2014? I'll be honest, that was one of the more fun games I've ever attended in my life.
Legitimately angry.
Oh, yeah. I would bet half the stadium wanted to fight a Miami player. And it's like, nothing against you. I know that you didn't do this back to us in the 80s, but
that was that was years and years of watching Nebraska play these huge games on Miami's home field, and several times not doing great because in these championship settings on somebody's home field. So it was time to bring Miami up north. And I don't know about if the hate factor is as great as I think in '92 it was probably peak for hate. Nebraska had not won, had not beaten Colorado since '88, which at that point 3 years seemed like a drought. And Colorado was kind of, they'd been going to the Orange Bowl, and it was just, the whole McCartney thing, everything was adding up. It was the level of emotion there was very high. I'm not sure it's as high for Colorado. They don't play every year. The Colorado's won the last three. I think it'll be cranked up for Dion, and the whole thing last year was, dragging Matt Rule into their little game of you said this and you said that, and
perceived disrespect.
You stomped on our logo, and it was just a whole bunch of, it's just what they do. So I think there might be some to that, but people are just ready to win and win a big game. And I think that could be the kind of game at night on national TV that if they win it could, knock the door down a little bit. Okay. Yeah. It's early, only game 2, but it's the thing they haven't had. And I think all those put together, it's going to be great.
Deion Sanders has said, I think it was this week, that he's not interested in recruiting high school kids, that he'd rather rely on transfers. He just doesn't have the time. He doesn't have 5 years to build the program. He's got to do it today. With that in mind, do you think he'll be here in 5 years? Do you think he'll be the coach at Colorado?
Is that what he said? That he doesn't have time?
I think I saw that. Hey, you got to. It's a win now culture. You got to win now. I don't have time to develop high school kids.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm not gonna rip it. I mean, I think it's an interesting. It's like a experiment almost. It's a case study. Let's see how this goes. In an era where you can replace your roster, but it's certainly not recommended to replace it every year. But we'll see. I don't believe in it, but we'll just sit back and watch. But everybody in Nebraska is certainly behind the Matt Rule approach, which is harder to do in this era. I think I don't think anybody expects him to be after the season, but he might be. Who knows? But what I think is there's a lot of sentiment in Boulder, maybe not necessarily with the coaching staff. I just think from the fans, the media standpoint, that they've downgraded in the conference, and I think they're in for a rude shock. I think that the Big 12 is very good in football. It's not great, but they've got very good coaches, and I think it'll be a real hard test for Colorado every week.
Tom, before we let you go, there's one thing I did that popped in my head when you said, the one thing you cannot do in college is you can't build a brand new football stadium. So the hamsters woke up and started jumping on the wheel, and I go, know what would be a great Dog Days of Summer column from Tom Chattel?
Yeah.
Is if Nebraska could build a new stadium, what features would we want in it and where would we put it? And I'm going to throw my 2 cents in on the location just immediately to the southwest of the Sac Air Museum, exit 426, I believe is what it is.
Ooh.
But and I'm talking across Highway 66. So literally a couple hundred yards or maybe 300 or 400 yards. There's that area between the interstate and the highway that takes you by the Sac Museum. It's a field. I used to ride my bike out in that general area. And I just popped in my head. So there you go. To me, that's a location because then you're closer to Omaha. You're not too far from campus. You've already got a great facility on campus to practice. There's your stadium.
Wow. I mean, it would take a lot of real estate, obviously, to do something like this. But I think I posed this question before, maybe a chat or something, and one of the answers that I got was sort of that area between the Haymarket Park and the arena. That there's some kind of space over there where you could build a football stadium, and I'm not sure there is, but that was one of the answers I got.
There's a lot of railroad tracks there right now.
Is there anything? I mean, you wouldn't take out the Vandy Center unless you're gonna. Unless while we're building a new football stadium, we could build a new volleyball palace. Maybe we could do that. But the thing about Nebraska Stadium it makes it so unique is that it's a little like Wrigleyville. You can park downtown. You go to the bars and restaurants, and then you just walk to the game. It's more of a downtown stadium than it is like a tailgating stadium.
Right.
It's not good or bad or worse or better. It's just different, and it's what we're used to. So I don't know. You might want to try to keep that somehow. But the one thing I know is we can't modernize old things. We try to think about that with Rosenblatt, and there's just no way. It was landlocked, and if you tried to put in new concourses, it would just ruin the whole thing. So you might as well just knock it down. So I'll be curious to see what they can do with this. I don't think we need a sports bar in the stadium. I don't think we need if they want to produce a landing area, if you look at Missouri's their drawings, what they're doing to their end zone, they have a level at the top where students could probably stand and watch. But I don't think we need to go crazy, but we need to take care of students, and we need to do something with that south end so it's got more room to breathe.
Hey, Tom, great stuff. This is our last show of the summer. We'll talk to you again in August. We appreciate the time. So we'll talk to you again about Husker football and other things in August.
I'll be here anytime you need me. Thanks.
All right, there he
Thanks,
is,
Tom.
Tom Chattel, columnist for the Omaha World Herald. I want to talk a little bit more about the stadium. What would you like to see? What some of the features you would like to see? Honest, not just, a big pool like Jacksonville has, although a pool would be cool. You're just talking about fall Nebraska. It's not going to be warm to get in the pool. I'm guessing
if we put a dome
in
on
November,
the stadium.
There you go. That would be one of the things. If Warren Buffett were to say, here's $1 billion, take it and buy a new stadium. What do you want in? We'll also tell you what's actually going to be in it a little bit from what Troy Dannon, the athletic director, said on the subject. We'll talk about it coming next.
Spring often marks the beginning of severe weather, which can lead to power outages. LES wants you to be prepared before the storm. Restock your emergency kit. Update your info with LES. And if you encounter an outage, report it at les.com/report.
I'm Ryan Osted. Golf is great because it can be whatever you want it to be. If you want to go out and have a competitive 18 holes, you can make it that. If you want to go out and have a scramble and just have the time of your life, if you want to have a charity golf tournament to raise money for some great cause, you can make it that. It is flexible to be whatever you need it to be at that particular moment in your life. And I've needed golf to be different things at different points in my life. And I'm certainly thankful that I was able to learn the game as a kid and continue to play it now as an adult.
Play better, have fun, and shop Osted's.
Electrical Enterprises in Roca reminds you, the men and women of our military dedicate themselves to serving our country. Their commitment and courage keep our country safe and strong. Let us honor those who have lost their lives in the line of duty and salute those serving today. This from Electrical Enterprises in Roca. For all your residential and commercial electrical construction needs, call 402-438-5822. We live in the land of the free, thanks to the brave.
Rain, snow, or shine, John Henry's is here to keep your home's plumbing systems working properly no matter what kind of weather Nebraska throws at us. From unclogging toilets and drains to installing new water heaters and water treatment systems, John Henry's is your plumbing expert in the Lincoln and Omaha communities. Visit us at calljh.com or call
John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Plains Cover Crop is your one-stop seed shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blends to fit your geography and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
At Southeast Community College, community is our middle name. Our continuing education classes offer personal interest, traffic safety and licensing, online learning, and adult education classes across Southeast Nebraska or online in your own home. Learn pottery or floral design, take a computer course, learn Spanish, how to start writing a book, or Air Fryer 101. See the full schedule of continuing education classes online at southeast.edu/continuing. SCC, your path to possible.
What a day. I could sure use an afternoon pick-me-up. Hold up. The new 93.7 The Ticket location has a milk, coffee, and tea inside? Oh, yeah. This is a game changer.
Need an afternoon pick-me-up? How about a coffee or smoothie on your way to work? Stop by the Ticket Mill location on 1040 O Street to get your go-to drink or try out our new game day drinks, exclusive to the Ticket Mill location. We know it'll make your day a million times better.
Hello, this is Mary Pat Waite. I've had the privilege of working with Lincoln Families as their realtor for more than 31 years, and I'm so proud to be associated with MP Dodge Real Estate. For me, your transaction is unique in its own way. My experience allows me to bring you trusted care and a really great outcome. My NP Dodge family shares the same client focus.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
Your business runs like a well-oiled machine. It's important that your actual machines do too. Stern is here to make sure you don't have to worry about that. They provide solutions for heavy equipment and automotive fuels, lubricants, and equipment guard options. And with Stern's commitment to customer service for the past 40 years, you know you have a partner to help support your operations for years to come. Contact Roger at Stern Company by calling 1-800-477-2744 or visit them online at stern.co. Stern Company, where problems meet solvers.
How do people feel about getting Big Fitness Energy at Planet Fitness for $1 down and $10 a month? They feel as thrilled as a kid the first summer they're tall enough to ride the roller coaster! That's right. When you join Planet Fitness right now, you'll get access to tons of equipment and free fitness training in a clean and spacious club. Don't wait. Join the judgment-free zone today for that all-day energy. Download the free Planet Fitness app and join today for $1 down, $10 a month.
Deal ends soon.
See Home Club for details.
This is Sunday Rewind on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. Final segment, really, of the summer. Tom and Mike, Husker Rewind, final few minutes. We mentioned Memorial Stadium's renovation. It doesn't look like it's going to happen all at once. It's going to be a piecemeal thing, and maybe they don't even tear down South Stadium, if at all, for a couple of years. They're going to work on the East and West stadiums, it looks like. And we mentioned one thing. If I were to give you any item that you see as a must for Memorial Stadium, for me, it's grass. I would really just like to go to a football game and look out there and say, oh, it's grass. Because there's something about going to a baseball game in stadiums where they have grass and just smelling the grass or sitting in the berm at Haymarket Park. It's kind of cool. Baseball caters to grass. Football, not as much. But I would really like to see Memorial Stadium go to grass.
That would be my number one thing, the logistics of how do you then host 6 state championship football games over the course of 2 days. Right. And have that field not be destroyed. Yeah. I get it. Other facilities.
There's got to be new technology out there.
There was essentially I can't remember the name of the company, but out where Speedway Village is now, just to the south of the original Speedway Motors, or the original bigger Speedway Motors. The original was at 18th and O. But it was a company that they sold grass. Like you could buy, have your lawn instead of seeding it, they put the turf down and you're good.
Can't you mix it, grow it with like fiber optics mixed in? There's a way to grow it, I think, with synthetics. I don't know anything about grass. I don't smoke it. As far as you know, no, I never have. But I don't know anything about it. I think it just looks better. And all coaches, Matt Rule included, will tell you he would like to do it for player safety.
Yeah, and I think it should be. That's the one thing. But then it's the logistics of it. If you do have another volleyball match outside and you have 92,000 people there, what's it going to do to the grass if it's going to be covered up for a couple of days with the floor that went down? If you do a massive concert there again, which they've done numerous times, Garth Brooks, and then go back to Farm Aid, all the stuff they've done.
Did you go? Were you at Farm Aid?
I was not.
It was great. Neil Young ended the night, as I remember. Dick Clark was there. They televised the thing. It was a big national event. Farm Aid, of course, John Cougar Mellencamp. I think it was John Mellencamp at that time. He had switched to Mellencamp. But he did Farm Aid as a way to raise money for farmers who were struggling at that time. And they were highly successful. I don't know how much good they did. I mean, sometimes with charities, the money never gets to the people that actually need it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it did or it didn't, but I know it was highly entertaining. And I remember Tom Osborne being very against it because, they went onto his football field and he has to practice there every day. And I imagine if it were grass, he would have been much more concerned about that. Don't screw up my grass.
That's the one and only thing is from that logistical standpoint of when they have other events there. How do you take care of that grass?
Right. Yeah, I would imagine that would be a drawback because it's not easy to take. I mean, just go to any golf course and how much they seed it and they overseed it. And they sprinkle it and they water it. It's a process. It's scientific.
I got it. You know how in Arizona they can take the field out? It runs out on tracks so it can go outside and then it comes back inside. The brand new NFL stadium. Do that. Only do it with the grass so that you can have a grass field or a turf field and have the grass go outside of the stadium to the south.
I like that.
Just like make a little path for it, put the rollers in.
How about it? Just like Wrigley, you grow it up vines and you grow it up walls. It's everywhere. You know, the vines are all over the stadium.
Just get him to the Greek and stroke the furry wall?
Yeah, I think it'd be kind of cool. Okay. Hey, we're thinking outside the box. There will be no alcohol sales for 2024. They did do it for 12 games at the end of the baseball season. They made $12,000 a game selling beer.
But the infrastructure's already there. So they were able to do it very quickly. The Garth Brooks game.
And they don't own the venue.
No,
that's part of it.
Part of it, yeah.
That's part of it. They don't own PBA, so they do it there. They own Memorial Stadium, so they're not doing it there.
Yeah, but the infrastructure to be able to do it, I get it. They sold 12 or 24-ounce cans for Garth Brooks. But I don't know that I would strongly advise selling cans. They're all going to have to get poured into a glass. If you do that, they're going to more than likely have to do draft beer. I don't know. Hopefully the alcohol comes at some point and they can do it in an intelligent way. Don't know what you just started.
I don't know what I started there. I thought I started the bed on the outro of our show, but apparently there's no outro for our show tonight.
Well, it's just kind of fitting for what the last 2 years have been. So tonight is the final show for Tom and I for the next about 4 months. We're going to take some time off. August 25th is the scheduled date to come back. It's the Sunday before the home opener for Nebraska football, and we'll be just full of joy and having so much fun this summer.
Well, you're on a pit crew. You're on a pit crew, winning pit crew, by the way.
Yeah, Tig won last night. I got fired from the pit crew because I wasn't there, and when I wasn't there, he won. But I'm going to go over tomorrow and reapply.
I think he rehired you on the air, though.
Yeah, I think he did, but we'll see.
He fired you, and then he rehired you all within a minute. Yeah. So you're back on the pit crew after the big win by Tig and the crew. So good luck to the season.
Thank you.
You're going to be out at Eagle Raceway mostly?
We're going to run Beatrice this coming Friday. We're off on Saturday. Tig's got a family deal. He's taking his dad and his boys over to Knoxville for the weekend, Knoxville, Iowa for the sprint car races. And we'll be hit and miss throughout the year. We're running a part-time schedule with the dates for the Race Saver Nationals at Eagle Raceway over Labor Day weekend circled as the big finale.
We have a target date to be back in August
25th.
August 25th. So look for us then and look for anything that we might do in the meantime.
Yeah, you never know what might happen over the summer.
I mean, we might fill in on some of these shows around the ticket. Who knows?
We could
do that. If you need us on the weekend,
anywhere.
DP, give us a call because we could come back for a show or two. But we are done officially for the summer until August 25th. We'll see you then. For Mike Melby, Tom Stevens.
See ya.
Live from the 93.7 The Ticket studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. This is Lloyd's in Lincoln with former Syracuse Orange and Long Beach State basketball star Ramel Lloyd Sr. and current Nebraska basketball athlete Ramel Lloyd Jr. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here are your hosts, Ramel Sr. and Ramel Jr. Brought to you by Canopy Street Market.
Hi, it's Tom and Mike from Husker Rewind. And did you know that people who are represented by an attorney are often compensated up to 3 times more than someone who is not?
Friedman Law has been helping injured people for over 60 years. It's all they do. If you're ever seriously injured in an accident, call Friedman Law at 402-476-1093.
Friedman Law is a family firm that works hard for Nebraska families just like yours.
So if you're ever injured on the job or in a crash, contact Friedman Law at friedmanlaw.com.
high school